Hey everyone, this is Johnny Glock of Johnny Custom Glocks. Shooting a video here today because I wanted to go over a new line of triggers that I built. These are specific to Glock's G42 and G43 slimline. Basically, the design is for concealed carry, pocket pistol, everyday carry. Some of the attributes of this trigger I just have written right here. This is on the material that I distribute for it, but we basically have a custom hand-built pre-configured trigger, which is very important, the pre-configured part, because basically you're going to be able to drop this in and it's going to just, you really don't need to touch it. If you feel like you need to change things up with the set screws, just give me a call and I can walk you through it. But for the most part, it is kind of designed specific for everyday carry. Next, it's what it is. It's drop in. Basically, you'll see when we get to that part, it drops in, no fuss, no muss. It's very short travel, it's a glass break, and it's a very quick reset. It's 100% Glock factory OEM parts. It has been tested extensively, so it is reliable, predictable, and safe. And it will improve your accuracy, ability, and proficiency. And that is all stated right here. I also want to say I have nothing to do with Glock. I have said pretty much in every video, this is Johnny Custom Glocks. It's a whole different thing. So, just want to show you this new marketing thing that I have as well. Bring it out here. I'm sure you've seen this before, but took a little spin off on our man Trump. Making triggers great again. Also, here is a business card. Basically, this is the number 376-4383. The email is getjohnnyglocks@gmail.com. You can go to Johnny Glocks, johnnyglocks.com right here on the top, but it's pretty much a useless site. It just tells you to give me a call. That's kind of the way I like to do business, or you can email me as well. It's just part of my responsibility and ethics when it comes to this type of stuff. I really like to know who I'm selling things to and get a feel for it. Not so much with this, G43 and G42 thing, because they're pre-configured. They're not going to be as specific as my competition, or say a combat carry trigger, where you're going to be, picking. When you call me, I kind of have this sitting there, so you pick your pre-travel, you pick the wall feel, you pick the break feel, you tell me what poundage, what your reset is, if it's if you need a compliant for IDPA, IPSC, USPSA, things like that, with a bunch of notes on there. That's kind of how we do the custom thing. Now this is custom because I am basically doing every one myself. Every trigger you get from me has my hands on it and has basically been tested and put through the ringer, dropped into about 3 or 4 different frames of the particular caliber and the particular model. That's how I know when you get it that it is going to drop in without a hassle whatsoever. So basically right now I'd like to go over a little bit about the system we're talking about. This is a G43. This is pretty snazzy, huh? It is for the owner's wife here at Quick Draw Pawn. And that's where I work, by the way, here in Venice, California. It's the FFL. And I want to show you that this magazine is empty. And the barrel itself there's no bullets in the gun. So basically, this is a safe gun. So, the main things that most people complain about with Glocks in general is the excessive pre-travel. Everyone kind of wants that pre-travel taken out of the system, and I can completely understand why, because that's where a lot of the human error comes into trigger control. So basically all this slop right here before you're actually contacting the connector is not completely necessary. A lot of people think Glock puts it in there, they kind of boast upon it because it's a little bit safer, because there are no manual safeties. However, if you've shot this gun, you basically know, or any Glock for that matter, you know what this is all about right here. kind of like take that out, or just a little bit, or you just do away with it completely. So with this is like I said, this is a G43. I'm just taking you through the function of a normal G43. You can see the trigger safety tab right here behind my finger. There's a little bit of space in between that and the frame. So basically when I come here, you have all this. Now I'm against the connector right now, and from here there's a lot of excessive wall feel. So basically when I have to kind of muscle past this right there. Now, as far as trigger control in a stressful situation, a lot of people will tend to slide in a little bit deeper, and then they will milk the gun, which gives you that, where people say it's the gun, it's, they're shooting low and to the left. That is basically the reason why you're shooting low and to the left, because it's more resistance at the wall and the trigger pull weight is a lot heavier. And then, of course, with the Glock system, there's a lot of over travel. So a lot of times, after the trigger breaks, the gun will tend to bounce up in the air a little bit like that. That is from the over travel jump. That's what they call it. And then basically with the reset on this gun, especially, it's a pretty lengthy reset. So you can see the motion on that is like way out. So basically, these are the main, and it's got kind of like a gravelly, unrefined feeling to the whole thing. Now, because it's designed in a EDC and a CCW, it's not like I want to, completely make it like a hair trigger like I would for competition, or if you're holstering and unholstering in different shooting sports. So, with that said, I'm going to go through the packaging here and show you what you get. So, comes in this. Take this apart. All the warranty and everything is on the back there. Make sure you read through all that stuff. It is going to come with a 4.5 pound wolf spring. This way you are guaranteed to break every primer out there. We don't want any kind of light strikes or anything like that. And also with this spring, it inhibits you from really dropping it any lower than 3.5 pounds. I think if this is going to be in your pocket, or you're going to be concealed carrying it for self-defense, I mean, really all you have to do is get in a ground fight with someone, or do a couple push-ups, and see how light a 3.5 pound trigger feels when you're stressed and you're in a situation where adrenaline and all that is flowing. It's a whole different story. Basically, it comes with 2 Allen keys to adjust your pre-travel and your over travel and reset, which I said you will not need to do. I put them in there just in case. And like I said, the pre-configured part is very handy because you're not touching anything. This thing is dropping right in. This is the spring kit with the hex wrenches. It comes with some literature too. Basically, a lot of the stuff in red is like, don't do this, don't do that. But it shows you what the spring weights basically yield. If you're using a 4.5 pound that comes with this, it's going to take it to 3.5 to 4. A 5 pound striker spring, which you can also get, that goes from 4 to 4.5, and the factory 5.5, which is the OME, goes from 4.5 to 5.5 fixed. Now there is a note here that some early G42s and G43s do not have a minus connector. That's going to change up things a little bit, so make sure that your weapon has the minus connector in it. If not, you can order a minus connector from me. Also, it has the instructions for pre-travel and reset here, but like I said, it's not like you're really going to have to use those. Lastly, most importantly, is the modified G43 bar. So what I'm taking is a factory OEM bar from Glock, and then I high polish the whole thing. Now, like I said, these are done one at a time by me. Lots of attention is paid to the vertical extension here because you're going to have metal on metal contact with your safety plunger. The radius of the what they call the bird's beak has been altered a little bit there, just to lessen resistance and to give it a better feel, as well as the angle of the cruciform kick-up has been changed. These are all pretty much proprietary things that I'm doing, kind of the trade secret stuff that gives it that quick glass break and a quick reset as well. Along with that, there is the set screw, which is right in there, and that's for the pre-travel, and the set screw for the over-travel, which is right there. Like I said, you will not need to touch these. Another thing I do, a lot of people complain about the trigger having that. They get like, there's Glock knuckle and then there's Glock finger line. There's a, you shoot enough of this, you get this line across your finger. A lot of people don't even really notice it till it's gone, but I flatten out, I grind this down so it's nice and smooth right there on the trigger shoe. So that's basically what comes in the packaging. And from there, I would like to move this aside. And you also you can also get this little piece of t-shirt for installation. So I'm gonna break this 43 down quickly so you can see once again it's a safe gun. Pull this up here. Now one of the tricks to this is if you push down on the follower of the slide lock and keep the trigger forward, you're going to be able to get that stubborn pin out a lot easier. So as I'm pushing down on that pin, you can see how easy that just came out because I just put a little bit of pressure down on that right there. And then I will push out the trigger housing pin. So both pins are out now. And then you can pry out your locking block. Take out the slide lock. And then in armor school, we learned to pry this out with the Glock tool as well, your handy Glock tool. So this is properly called the trigger assembly, the whole thing. Basically, we are just going to take this and snap it right out. There is a tab right there. This is the new way. That's why it's completely different than the other Glocks. It has instead of having the trigger return spring in the housing, that's an actual free spring, it's actually captured in there, and you're just going to have to angle the bar and snap it in like that. That's the trick. So I'm going to take this and set it aside. Now, like I said, when you do put this in, and this is all over the literature, you always want some lubrication in between the bird's beak and the connector, which is this area right here. So, because these two parts are sliding together, so I'm just going to put a little bit of lubrication right there. Here is the bar from the packaging that I opened up, and it's very easily done. I'm going to slide it right in, and it clicks. And also, like I said, now you have a little bit of lube in this area because these two areas slide across each other, and you want to keep that nice and friction-free to minimize drag. The whole assembly drops right back in. First, I'm going to press the trigger housing pin through. And they say to use the corner of this tool to actually seat it. It does a good job of seating it the right way. The slide lock goes in next, and then the locking block. And same thing with the insertion of this pin. I like to go from the back because then I don't have to go click, 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 click through the over the areas of the pin that are cut into. And then basically I push down here a little bit, same as the last time, and I can push that right in, and you will hear a little click when I give it a little. Okay, so you know that the slide lock is actually captured by the ring and the trigger pin. So that is the lower assembly. It's all done. I'm not going to do this spring, but you know what? Basically, I'll do it. Okay, so I'm going to put pressure down here on what is called the striker sleeve, right, like that. Downward pressure goes there, and at the same time you're pushing out with your thumb on the back plate. You're going to remove what is called the striker assembly. You're going to insert the spacer sleeve into the striker channel, and then when you do that, you can put a little downward pressure on the spring itself, and that way you can remove the captured spring cups. Be careful with these. If they fall in carpeting, they're really hard to find again. You basically do not want to let those just shoot off of the striker. Take a spring right here, drop it on to striker, compress one at a time. You're going to put these cups back in. The only thing you do not want to have happen is where the spring wind ends, you don't want it to seat where the cups come together. That's the main thing that you do not want to happen here. It's kind of hard to even get into focus here, but I think I explained it pretty well. So basically, then the assembly just goes right back into the striker channel, like so. Back plate, you can prep it by getting it right there. You're just going to put a little pressure on the striker sleeve, and then I put a little bit of pressure on the plunger there for the ejector. So that's together. Then we're going to slide back on the frame, and you have a complete installation right there. Now, you can see that there is a little bit of space behind the safety tab and the frame. So basically, this trigger is not going to go off because it is purchasing on there. You have your first safety, which is a trigger safety for a butt drop, is functional. But what it does do is it takes all the pre-travel out. I'm coming up against this and there is no movement like there was before, a lot of movement. That movement is no longer present. So basically right from there, you are ready to brake. And that happens with not a lot of resistance, but still some poundage. So you're not gonna have negligent discharges or unnecessarily shoot someone that you don't want to. If say they start rushing you at, whatever, 10 yards and they decide to stop, and it's a little bit of an insurance policy right there. You don't definitely have time to get your finger out of the guard if you're going to use fatal force. So from here you have your brake. As you can see, it was a short, crisp, very quick brake. Here's the reset, which is the reset, which is about 2/3 shorter than the stock reset. So do this a couple times. Brake, reset, brake, reset, brake. So, and like I said, it has that nice feeling. That's a nice ground trigger right there, so you don't have, what is this, the line that sticks out here and kind of cuts across your finger. Even at full depression, that thing still sticks out, and it's really not that necessary. Not to mention all the travel that is in this bar. If I shortly pop out this bar, quickly rather, pop out this bar once again. You'll see the difference in movement is pretty significant. So this bar is just moving back and forth right there. There's the shoe. I'll keep the bar stationary. This is the stock. So that's the movement you're taking out. All that as opposed to this. And like I said, the brake is, with that spring right there, it reduces it to about 3.5 pounds. I'll put this thing back together quickly. People have contests with this kind of stuff. I think it's pretty funny. I can break a block down faster than you. But anyway, so we're back in there. We're back in here. Just a seat, just a click. As you can see, it is it is so user-friendly, it's unreal. I'm going to do a trigger pull here, and as you can see, we are at 3.5 pounds. I'll do it again just for, how they say, best out of 3 or whatever. Once again, 3.5 pounds. And what the heck, one last time. Just like I said, 3.5 pounds. I would not recommend bringing a pocket pistol for concealed carry down any lower than that. And if you are taking it down this low, you had better do your due diligence and have a lot of training and understand how the whole thing works. Because like I said, with the adrenaline flowing, that feels like a pound, trust me. So anyway, thank you for watching the video. The way to get this trigger is to call me or email me. That's just the way I do business. Like I said, and that's for my ethics and responsibility to our Second Amendment. And basically, I'll put the card up here again so you can see it.
I got you.
376-4383. Johnny Custom Glocks. This is Johnny. Thank you very much and have a great day.